All right, what's up? What's up? What's up? Um,
And a W.
Hopefully we're good. Um, Apologize for the last episode, the technical difficulties at the beginning of the show. We apologize for that. So what's up, cuz?
What's up, cousin? How we feel?
I'm good.
Good,
How you
good,
doing?
good. Doing pretty good. Doing pretty good.
Alright. And oh, the parts that you missed in the last episode was we were thanking DJ Buck, the legendary hip hop pioneering uh
DJ
straight from
Book.
Providence.
One time.
The family, DJ Buck. Thank you, appreciate you for that beat.
That theme, yeah.
All right, so what's up? Cause what's new with you?
Well, all these weeks I've been talking about my dad. He's back in a rehabilitation center, out of the hospital. He was just at Kent County a few days ago. He had a little, bit of a disturbance, but he's okay now. It's been a long journey, still taking it day by day, but just feeling good about the progress he's been making, and thankful for all the doctors and the ICU units and the other units that helped me, and brought him back from a very, you know, kind of dark place for possibly him and for all of us that were still around. But yeah, been doing good, and so that's been a lot of it.
That's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, man. How
'Cause
about
it's
you?
been a crazy road.
Yeah, it's been a road of up and downs and back and forth, and
2 months ago, it was like we were preparing for what's
I
next,
was being told to
and
be
I
prepared for
was
what's.
emotionally like
Yeah,
preparing myself. Like Jen will tell you, I was like whatever he needs, like whatever. I
yeah,
was ready.
yeah. It's
So
it's been really challenging,
it's a
bro.
big turn. I'm happy for that.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm good, man. Fall baseball has started, so I'm umpiring at least for the next month. I have fun with those kids, man. I love it.
I got to come out to one of your games.
Yeah,
I
definitely. Actually,
promise
I'm
I'll be out.
umpiring tonight.
Yeah, really?
Yeah. Fall is also it's fun because like it's not as intense.
Yeah,
The parents aren't as diehard. It's more like my kid loves baseball
yeah.
or they don't want to play football or soccer or whatever. So fall ball is just kind of it's lighter.
I got you.
So,
I got
people aren't ready to jump you over like an outside corner.
you.
Um, so it's cool. It's fun. Family's good, life is good. Had a crazy week with Max. For those of you who don't know, Max is my buddy, my bully. He's a little over a year. I want to say he's like a year and 3 4 months, and we had a 24-hour stretch where not even 24 hours. Like it was literally probably 12 hours, 6 hours at best. Took him to the vet. Like, anybody who has a bully knows they're super temperamental, sensitive skin, sensitive everything, despite looking relatively vicious at times. And um, come out of the vet, $700 for medicine and visit and whatever. Then go home. And one of the reasons we were there, he like there's certain dogs, they have this thing where you basically have to have their anal glands express.
Mm,
Like they build up a scent. There's like a liquid in there, whatever, and they get it out. Like dogs will release it naturally, but like some need a little help.
yeah.
And so he walks around and his ass smells like fish. So, bring him there for that. They do that. Comes out, paid that. And then later that night, he decided he's outside, about to come in for the night. All of a sudden, I'm looking at him and I'm like, Max, what are you doing? And I look around, I take a couple steps, I look, and he has a skunk like cornered. And I'm like, no, Max, please come in, Max. And 70% of the time, Max listens to me.
Uh
But
huh.
in this
It's
case,
not
like,
this one.
it
This is
wasn't
part of
happening.
that
Like,
30.
I'm outside begging. Like, anybody who's listening can hear me, like, Max, please, please, Max, come in. Please don't do it. Please. I don't want to have to deal with that. Man, I grew up in the city. Like, I had recently been thinking about, I was like, despite the cultural and diversity issues, it was like I like raising my family in the suburbs.
Sure.
And so I'm like, and now I'm sitting there running. I got the skunk in the yard and whatever, right? So he runs away. All of a sudden he comes running back. I'm like, oh shoot. So, but I can smell it, but not on him. So I'm like, okay, the skunk sprayed, he got away,
Mm,
like whatever. That happened twice. Finally, he's about to come in. I turn on the lights and the skunk appears in the corner. He goes, books it back to the corner. Like, I got my daughter downstairs. She's like, Max, please. She's also an animal lover, so she
Hmm.
wanted to see the skunk. She's like, you take pictures? It's like, no, I didn't
She
take pictures.
was.
I'm trying to get the dog in. We finally get the skunk sprays. He comes running. We bring him in and we're looking at each other. And I'm like, I think we're okay. Like, I don't smell it. And
Hmm.
she's like, well, you would like, would we? And I was like, well, yeah. I'm like, you when your
Smell
dog
skunk.
gets, I was like, you smell a skunk, you smell a
Sure.
skunk. And then all of a sudden, the smell just started to take over the house. Like, it just came out of nowhere and it started burning your nose and whatever. And I was like, oh. So me and him are fighting, bring him in, take a bath. Normally I'm like gentle with his bath and I try not to get his face too wet,
Hmm.
whatever. I'm like, he probably has PTSD. I'm like burying his face under the water to get the smell out because clearly he got sprayed in the face.
Oh my
Like
gosh.
wash him up, do the whole. I'm like reading online,
Tomato
tomato juice is a
juice.
myth. I use baking soda and peroxide and whatever. um, then while I'm doing it, I switch. I'm bathing them in the tub. And like to really have them saturated, and I reach to I go to turn the shower on so I can rinse them, and it's detachable. So I'm like on the floor, pushing him, holding him in the tub, trying to reach up to get the shower head, and because no, I turn it on
Hmm.
and it's the wrong one. So the wrong one is spraying, water's going everywhere. It looks like I'm at a comedy sketch. All right, water's going everywhere. So now I'm trying to like I slap the shower head over so it's not like going at least all over the bathroom. But now
Uh-huh.
I'm trying to reach up to get the right shower head or to switch it over and then grab the shower head. I'm holding Max and I'm like, he's gonna pull away and like jump out the tub if I relieve too much pressure. So I'm trying to balance that. He goes, boom, water, more water everywhere. I'm like, yo, finally he's done, and he still stinks. I got that poof stuff, doused him, put that on him. Like, there's man,
Did it
it was
work?
crazy. Not really. It worked. Like he smells better. We're probably gonna have to give him another one.
Right.
But like, yeah, that's he smells like it. My house doesn't smell like it anymore.
You
So
know your
yeah,
aunt got sprayed as a kid.
nah.
Yeah. She got sprayed by a skunk. And they did they bathed her in the tomato juice.
Nah,
Yeah. Yeah.
that's a lot of tomato
That's a
juice.
lot of tomato juice,
That's a lot of tomato juice.
man.
So yeah, so that's me and my Max.
Yeah.
I know you had a tough week.
Yeah, I was gonna wait till the end, but
No,
you know,
yeah.
I put this show out, from my dog Destiny. She's a Limburger. My wife, who had passed of MS, Michelle McCullough Hazard, actress, phenom, and she picked out this dog. Um, said I didn't want a dog. I was gonna take care of it. No, 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 no. Just I go and get this dog, Destiny, and go and travel in the rainforest. The reason why I didn't want a dog named Destiny is because not to bring things down, because everything is going to be up later. I promise y'all. But we had a miscarriage, and our child's name was going to be Destiny. So I did not want a dog to be calling that name,
Mhm.
Destiny. And she's like, "No, I get that. I respect that. Nah, that's for real. That's I get that." But for the next 3 weeks, every time she's going through the computer, or she would walk away and leave it, and it says dog Destiny. I traveled 90 minutes from Marietta to Dahlonega to go get it, her, and she comes out and she goes in the corner and she spits up and then she eats it. I'm like, "We sure this is my dog?" And they say, "Yeah, this is your dog." I said, "Okay." And I just pick her up and I held like this and she's looking. I said, "You and I are gonna be best friends." And then cut to 17 years later,
Yeah.
Thursday, September 12th. I just had to put my baby down. Her life expectancy was 8 to 9, and she was 17. A new environment, stairs and everything. She had a little bit of a fall, plus her hips were already a little funky. So yeah, man, it was really, really rough. Not fully over it. I have bouts and everything. I was telling you earlier, I find myself in a chair and I'm just looking down and looking to see her or where she would be. And so little things like that,
Mm.
seeing a blanket that she took over. And but yeah, rest in power to my sweet destiny.
I gotta say, eh, you telling that story makes me think of two things, two ways I've changed and grown. Go back 20 years or so, however many, before having children and whatever. There are two things that I never understood when I was young. There were two things I would say. I don't understand people crying over losing a pet. It's a pet, it's a thing. You buy it, like
Mhm.
people like what? You just buy another one.
Mhm.
That was one. And I mean, I would be sensitive when people did, like, oh, I'm
Sure.
sorry, but like
Yeah.
in my head, I
You
was
didn't
like,
fully yeah.
I'd be like, lost my mom.
Right. Yeah.
Man,
Yeah.
get your damn dog.
Yeah.
And then the other one was having a miscarriage.
Mm.
Because I was like, oh, the baby's not here. Like, how can you be really all that attached? Blah, blah, blah. Really not a big deal, whatever,
Mhm.
whatever. And having been through, well, just my relationship with Max, I can see how like that has changed. And then, Jen and I went through one, and it was like one of the toughest things emotionally I've ever been
Yeah.
through. And I never imagined it being so thing.
Yeah.
Now, I also think it's different because, like, having already had a child, like one of the things I talk about with new fathers when we chat is I always say, like, um, it's like it's growing to her, so it's real from day
Yeah.
one. You have this life
Yeah.
growing inside of you for a woman.
Mhm.
For a guy, I think on your first child, it is not real until
You see it.
like your job kicks in
Yeah.
at that moment.
Yeah.
And so while like a woman is going through all of these emotions for 9 months and it's
Mhm.
drawn out over 9 months, like that 9 months of emotion comes out all at
For the
once
guy. Yeah.
in that moment for a
Mhm.
guy.
Mhm.
And so it's like, gotta kind of understand that part. And actually we'll get back to that ironically. But like that's just understanding that difference. Like you're gonna go through that emotion. It's
Mhm.
just at a different
At a
time
different time. Yeah.
because it's not like your job is to cater to her and make
Yes.
sure like, she is
She
okay
is
up
comfortable.
until
She's yeah.
this child comes. And
Mhm.
then
And
it's like,
then you have both.
now you have this real thing that you have
Mhm.
to protect and
Mhm.
provide for and mold from nothing. And
Yeah.
it's an amazing feeling, but it's also like, yeah, it's a lot of emotions all at
Mhm.
once.
Mhm.
So yeah. Um, Speaking of pets,
Wow, what a segue.
oh God, I can't even believe that just happened. I promise
Did
you,
you really just make that segue?
we didn't plan it this way.
I was gonna have a rest in power message. Uh Rest in power since we were at that place, but I don't know. That was a
No,
heck
no,
of a
no, no.
shift.
Yeah, I don't
Maybe
want
we
to do
should
that.
go with yours.
Yeah,
Let's
yeah,
go. Wow,
no,
let's
no,
keep it
no,
with
no, no,
yours,
no.
man.
Oh man, yeah, that's a tough one. So yeah, we'll just dive into it. Forget it. Anyway, so we have the whole
Pets.
yeah, and you had the debate, which was wild. Like, and I think this was probably, despite everything and all the buzz when Barack ran, and whatever, this was probably the most anticipated presidential debate that I can remember.
Yes, absolutely.
Um, and like, people can be, it's so wild because people are not objective at all.
No.
People have one side or another. But, as somebody who likes to think he's objective, like I will certainly admit, if the candidate I prefer lost the debate or whatever. And I will say in this case, the pro Trump side is like, oh, it was favorites played, and there was this, and it was unfair, and they were working against them. And that's how you know when your candidate lost.
He was outmatched,
Yeah.
man. He was
Yeah.
outmatched.
Yes.
It was just boom, 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 connect, connect,
Stop
connect, connect.
insulting her resume.
Yeah.
Like, they're different people. This is a different thing. And it's like, she should, but that's the thing. Like, she's supposed to win that debate.
She's a
And so,
prosecutor,
right,
man. She
she's
knows
supposed to.
how to, yes.
But the wilder thing about it is that, the accusation that Haitians in Springfield, Ohio are eating people's pets. He said that Haitians are eating people's pets. And when he
Eating
got called
people's
on
pet.
it,
Double down.
oh,
They
yes.
say heard it on television.
Like, oh yeah, they're just making like what? Like how how racist do you have to be to make a statement like that? Like, and I can't call it anything else.
And then how racist do you have to be to defend it?
Yes. Are you more racist for defending it
I say yes.
Like, I mean, and that
I
brings in
say
the
yes
whole,
because now you're dismissing your sense of reality,
yeah, your own common
your
sense.
own common sense. Man, I'm telling you, that is a phrase that is so underused now. Common sense.
Hey,
We don't have any. This is the same person that told you to shoot pneumonia in your arm to clear COVID.
bleach,
Bleach, excuse me,
bleach.
bleach in your arm to clear COVID. And people did it. And now people are listening to this garbage. And what are we hearing that they have to have the police at schools because they're making threats
Yep,
to the students, and all because he sounds this dog whistle, man, that
it's
gets
crazy.
people.
Like, yo,
There ain't nobody out there eating anybody's pets, man. And why do and then now am I I don't want to be wrong on this. I believe JD Vance is trying to walk back from saying, I believe he's admitting that
oh,
he lied. He admitted this was a story, and now he's trying to walk it back. And then it kills me that everybody on that side is like, the Dems need to tone down the rhetoric. No, no, they don't. It's like you all are starting this.
this is not political.
It's
A
not
statement like that
political at
isn't
all.
political.
It's
It's not a
racist.
left or right
No, it's not.
conversation. It's just like a human decency. What kind
Hmm.
of person are you
Hmm.
to like to say that, to believe that? So I saw one lady. There was a discussion about it. I read online, and this lady was like, "Well, if it's not true, why are there pictures of it? Pictures where? There would be pictures
Something that
everywhere
somebody
if that was
Photoshop.
true."
Yeah, of course it would
Like,
be.
there's no picture. I
There's no
haven't seen
pictures.
any. Like, it's just
It's easy to
like
believe the
stop.
lie, man. It's easy to pump the lie and believe the lie and go run with that than to actually sit down, use your what? Common sense and say, that's not happening.
Like, you can. I said this, I think, in the first episode. You can acknowledge, like, you can be like, look, I'm voting for him for X, A, B, and C. But but yes, he's a racist.
Mhm.
But like, that's just not as important to me
Yeah.
as these things. And it's like, and it would solve so many issues.
Yeah.
It would solve so many
But they
arguments among
no.
people. And the fact that we're in this place where, like, politically, it's violent. Like,
Yeah.
people don't like each other
Yeah.
because of who they're supporting, and it's because
Because you have a
you want to
difference of
ride
opinion.
on this. Like, I believe everything he says because I'm a vote for him, and you're
Mhm.
trying to justify it to yourself. I think
Mhm.
more so than anything else, versus like, it just like he's a racist. Like, stop it
What did
now.
I think I said it before that I want to get back to that place where your R, your D, or your I represents what political party you're going to vote for and not your mindset. And not your mindset.
And when you support somebody like that's so polarizing, like, there's no, like, that's the catalyst for it.
Can you remember when the Republicans were outraged that Obama wore a
The tan
beige
suit.
suit?
Yes. Oh my god, that's so funny. Yes.
You wanted to impeach him and
Yes.
yeah, bring him down. A beige suit. We can't have that in our
Yeah.
president. A beige suit. And now look what is going on. Our people have suspended their reality and have blindly followed a cult leader. I don't care. That's what it boils down to.
Yes. But it's not racial.
But it's not racial.
It's not racial. It's not racial. Like, and it can be racial without you being a racist.
Yeah,
I think actually what makes, like, one of the things that kind of makes it racist is your desire to fight it or defend it or excuse
to
it or
double down on
justify
it.
it.
Yeah.
Right. That is when it crosses over.
Hmm.
It's like, I mean, I can admit, oh, so and so is a criminal. Like, hey, I love them. They're my family member, but I
Yeah.
wouldn't leave them in my house by themselves.
Right.
Like,
Right.
those two things can be
Can't be
true.
at the same time. Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
and like, just get to that place. I got plenty of family members I wouldn't
Think
allow in my
everybody
house by
out there got a
themselves.
family member
Right.
too that they wouldn't allow in the house
I was like,
to be on their own.
people are supportive of this president. I remember I said one time I was on a radio interview, and because actually this lady tried to use it against me later, is I said, I was asked my opinion of Donald Trump or what have you, and I said, I was like, man, one thing I can say is, like, I wish people supported me. I said I would love to be more like him. He was like, what? And I said, because the way I was like, just to have people believe me,
To blindly support you,
to
like,
support me, and like be able to, like, I'd be so effective. I feel like so many things would get done if, like, when I spoke, people just took what I said as gospel
maybe
and ran with
yes,
it.
maybe no.
I wouldn't grow, but I would get stuff done.
Yeah, I was gonna say the maybe no is you could you this Leon, this version of you could turn
Right.
into that
Yeah.
megalomaniac with so much power and
Yeah.
adoration, blind power
Yeah.
and adoration.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So you
Like,
know,
so yeah, I just wish people would just get to that place where it's like you're okay. And it's one conversation of around um Trump and all is there was I have a I won't really call him a friend. He was a classmate of mine at BC, and me and several of my classmates, all black men, have a group text, and we talk about a lot of stuff. Like we'll talk about our kids, we talk about whatever.
hmm
Normal group text, nothing special about it. I'm sure everybody has some group text, and ours is no different. But we started to talk about this person, and one person sent a text and was like, "Yo, what is up with him? Like, actually,
what I was
what's
gonna
wrong
say,
with your?
what
Like,
was the actual
yeah,
question?
it's like, what's wrong with your boy?" Um, and it started this discussion, and one friend was like, "Oh, he's clearly going like he had some sort of trauma or whatever." And I'm like, "Nah, man, stop! Like, we gotta stop doing that. Like, some people are just bad people or just
hmm
assholes or whatever it is. Like, not everything is trauma. Maybe he did, but I'm like, nah, I'm not letting him off on that." But as we're going back and forth talking about it, one of my friends said, well, it's not our issue to worry about. Like, that's his problem. Why are we even talking about it this much? And that started am I my, somebody actually said, whatever happened to it, am I my brother's keeper? And
Right.
I feel like, I just was raised that way where it's like certain things you have to hold each other to a certain standard, and your responsibility, your obligation as a friend is to hold your friends to that standard. But even going beyond friends, I feel like as a black man, I need to hold other black men accountable. When
hmm
you are saying things, part of what goes with being a black person, period, or an underrepresented group, period, is that when one of you does something or says something or whatever, that automatically to whoever they're communicating it to, like, it speaks for all people to them.
Right.
And so when a black person is sitting there calling her a slut or whatever, calling Kamala a slut, or she slept her way to the top or whatever, and like all of these accusations that, I mean, show that they're true if you're gonna make them.
hmm
But like it's just these reckless things that the other that white people are saying about Kamala, when he's saying it, other people look at it like, well, he said it, so it's okay.
It's
It's not
okay.
racist. He said it.
Yeah.
And it's like you don't give people that, like, keep to like you want, like, again, you want to vote for somebody, whatever, but like
You
keep
know
it
what
to
they say?
what
You know
matters.
what they say? That's just Trump.
Right.
And that's
Right.
just Trump.
So is it so like do you have that? Is that a thing? Like, are we supposed to hold each other accountable?
I mean, of course, every man is able to make their own decisions, their own choice. Um, but I mean, I get what you're saying. We're raised that way. If you see a brother going off, you want to grab him. If you see, if you see, hey, you're drinking too much, you're doing too much of this, doing too much of that. But on his political views, I think you can bring things to their attention. I know you just want to be like, "Nah, what's wrong? What the hell
Yes.
is wrong with you?"
And that's what I'm gonna do. That's how he and I went at it on Facebook one day
Yeah.
because it was just like, yo, like, what is wrong with you?
hmm
Like, what are you talking about? You can't. And this was actually, I had made a statement about that, basically it was a general political statement about, people not necessarily being concerned with people of color or whatever, like regardless of candidate. And this was when it was Biden versus Trump.
hmm
That might have been it. It was something, but it was more general statement, like how I feel. And I was like, and this vote is more of a lesser of the evils versus a who I am voting for, like who I am voting against.
You said
And
that with Biden and
and
Trump.
I said, yeah, I said
Got you.
that. And so he was like, oh, you're just saying that because your boy lost the debate. And I'm like, no, he's not my boy. I was like, and he's like, yeah, it is you, you left this and blah, 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 and Trump this and Biden that. And I was like, yo, you're making an argument that I'm not making.
Right.
And I was like, you are so fixated on trying to appeal, like become the ambassador to the MAGA Negro population.
Mhm.
Like, okay, like you want to be the top Negro amongst these people that you're just willing to do and say
And say
anything. And I'm like,
anything
bro,
and just
I'm not arguing with, like, I don't even care.
right.
Like, I'm not sitting there trying to, and the fact that people love and cape for this man so much is so crazy because I'm not. Like, I don't know you. Like, I have always had this thing. Like, I'm not gonna cry. Everybody whose funeral I cry at will also cry at mine. Like, so I see a celebrity die on TV. Like, I'm not crying over that. They don't know me. I don't know them. Like,
Right.
I'm like, that's that. So, like, back, like, so with this, it's just like, there's that I don't have that connection to anybody. So I'm not gonna fight you. Like, why am I sitting there trying to argue with you about that? I'm arguing with you right now
Turn
over the
red,
fact
get
that
a
you are
vein done.
lost.
Yes,
Like, brother,
yes,
you are lost
yes.
and you hate yourself so much.
Hmm.
You hate your people so much, and you were trying to justify your beliefs so much because he was like, "Oh yeah, you're selling out, and because you believe." And I'm like, "What? Like, what are you talking? Like, you don't even know what you're talking about." I was like, "You're just sitting there and like," and then he tried to use the like. I told him, "I said keep dancing for massa, hey, do that dance." And he was like, "No, that's what you're doing. You're just doing that for the Dems." And I was like, "No, again, like I am not up here doing any of that." I'm
Anything?
like, because
No.
I am not in love with either of these two
Yeah.
cats right now. And so there's just
But if you just make a simple column of pros and cons, if you go and make it that easy and just list them, I mean, come on.
I am not. Yeah, I am not. Like I don't even feel like I have to explain voting right now because it's literally a as black people we have a responsibility to vote greater good over personal benefit. It's just that simple.
Mm-hmm.
No matter how much money you make, like the tax break is not going to be worth what is going to be done to your people, particularly in this case. There are plenty of other elections where you can say that, generally or whatever. But like this one, it's a real thing.
You have a
It's not
man
like
telling you, I will just be a dictator for a
yes.
day.
It's not like when Kanye did the whole George Bush hates black people. I
Right.
was like, that's just ridiculous.
Right.
Like, whether he does or doesn't, like that wasn't even a thing.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know whether he does, but or not. But what I do know is like there was nothing that he had done, that made me feel like him getting elected was going to be the end of all black people. Like, whereas in this case, I do feel like there's a lot of physical, emotional, and economic damage and sociological damage that
Yeah.
can be done in this election.
That will be done.
Yes. And I don't care how much money you make. A lot of us like to look at our wallet and be like, well, I make enough money, so I'm good now. And it's like, no, like it can all,
You can end up at the wrong place at the wrong time in the wrong vehicle in the
yep,
wrong address
yep.
in a moment. All of that can change.
You can end up,
Even if
it's like
you're in a Benz, you still in a coupe.
you're gonna end up, Diddy, where they raid your house and find a whole bunch of baby oil, like whatever. Uh, just saying, like they can bring
They
you
did
down.
find other things as well.
That's a whole nother thing.
Woo, we could do a whole episode on that.
They used to do a thing on Hot 97 in New York. I don't even know if that station still exists because this was going back to like
I believe Hot
late 90s,
97 is
early
still, yeah, it's
2000s.
still there.
Um, and this was when they were, yeah, it does. It is, but they
Breakfast
have
Club.
the power or whatever. That's no, the Breakfast Club is on the other station.
Okay,
Hot 97 is Flex.
got you.
So, but they used to have this thing where they would talk about the gay rapper. And this was before, where you really had you had no openly gay people You're talking late 90s.
Mhm.
No openly gay, black entertainers. And he like they would talk about it, and everybody always thought it was Diddy. And so it was just kind of wild. Like they would talk about it, and there was this whole speculation kind of throughout New York where people would talk about it. So I did an internship in Jersey, and that was when I started listening to it, listening to Hot 97, because this was before satellite radio and all that. Damn, I'm old. Um, so yeah. So anyway, I don't want to go on a Diddy rant because God, we could, or a Diddy tangent. Um, so within your friends group, do you, let's say you got, one of your boys sitting there and we'll go, I don't know, they're lost, they're doing what mine is. Do you feel the obligation that like to call them out on it? Or do you just like, hey, that's their problem?
I mean, I can speak directly to this. I got a brother, African brother, who is all down for Trump, and I found this out the other day, and he always wants to bring up politics, and like I said, I just laid things out. I was like, that man stood and said he could sit in the middle of Times Square. He's done this. He's had this program. And I just point things out, and I keep it to a point where he has to think about it. And that's all that's my way. I don't say, hey man, what the F is wrong with you? Are you crazy? That is now that's an avenue, especially depending on how close your relationship is with that person. Me and this brother are cool. I just decided to go down that road. And one of my things I always go back to is that time when McCain was running
Hmm.
against Obama. And I don't know if I brought it up here, but the lady in Minnesota where they were at a speech. He was having a convention or something,
Hmm.
and she was speaking. She said, Obama is just a Muslim, blah, blah, blah. And he grabbed that microphone from her. He said, no, ma'am.
Yep.
He said, no, ma'am. He's a good man that's running for the same job that I am.
Yep.
He's a good man. He's a good husband, good father. And I remember seeing that and going, okay, I'm not voting for McCain, but I'm going for Obama.
Right.
But I can respect you.
Right.
I
And I'll
can
be
res-
okay if you win.
and I will be okay
Yeah.
if you win. Literally had that thought. I'll be okay if you win because I know that's the place you come from.
Yeah.
Trump has kicked, destroyed.
Yes.
That's gone.
Yeah.
That woman, they would have fed her that mic. They would have gave her her own reality show. They would have
Right.
put the spotlights on her. They would have put her on stage. Say more, say more. That's the difference of where they have gone.
Said the Jerry Springer.
Yeah. Yeah. And so those are the things I try to bring up to somebody. And that's my way of, I'm trying to bring you back, bro. You're thinking this way. You've been thinking this way. Let me introduce this to you. And when you don't come back with a quick clap back, I know you're thinking about what I said.
It is not an easy thing to like to bear the burden of speaking for your race
Oh,
every time you speak.
no.
And it's just like part of being part of being black. And I'm sure, part of being a lot of other things too. But it's just, so you turn on the news, they said somebody said, you're like, damn, why'd they give him the mic? It's other people don't have that.
I mean, think of and on subject, off subject, but think of Latinos do the same thing.
Hmm.
You got a huge population of Latinos going for Trump, who's
Right.
sitting there. They were like, build that wall, build that wall,
Yeah.
build a wall, and it's like,
I don't.
I don't.
I want to meet a Haitian who supports him. That's what I want to meet. I want to meet one. I might Google that or go on
There's got
IG
to
and be
be
like
one out there, man.
hashtag
There's,
Haitians for Trump. In fact, I'm
there's
gonna do
got
that.
to
How I'm gonna
be.
look that up. So somebody's probably watching this and or listening to this, like, and they're looking it up. Haitians for Trump. I want to see. I want to know how you justify it at this point, because that is a real thing for me. There's no. I just, in my head, I can explain certain things. I can explain, like, being a white person voting for him, blah blah blah. Like, I can explain, like, race doesn't matter to me. It's not going to affect my day to day.
Mhm.
It's not going to affect my life. So my self interest, I can focus on the self interest because I don't have to worry about that. And I don't think like when I talk to people or like just in conversations and you're trying to explain the privilege, it's like these are the kind of things that, like, it's not, you're not making it. people think privilege and they think, privilege, like what the word means.
Grew
And
up
it's like,
better,
no,
and I
it's
had
more of
better
like
options.
obligation. Like your privilege is that you don't have this obligation or
You
this
don't have to think
responsibility,
about it. You
right?
don't
You
have
don't
to.
carry that burden.
Right.
And so,
You don't have to have that talk with your child about how to address the police.
yeah. Somebody, the a news, somebody gets interviewed on the news and they say something or they sound unintelligent or whatever. Like everybody isn't watching that saying, see, that's
Black eyewitness.
right. Whereas like we have that. Somebody somewhere is looking at it and be like, see, that's why we should have never let them vote. Or that's why it was better before. Like, that's the America we're trying to get back to.
No,
Oh, that's not.
it's just a
That's
bad
a real thing.
eyewitness.
Yo, that's a real thing. Oh, like it is not
Oh
easy.
gosh.
Oh, oh man, that's wild. So on a lighter note, and I was trying to think about my uhs and ahs just a minute ago. My verbal fillers were me trying to think of a segue. And coming from Trump into relationships, there just isn't one. So, something I've thought about for years, and we chatted about it a little bit.
We haven't seen
Oh,
much
oh,
of Melania on
oh,
the campaign trail.
yeah, there you go. There you go. That's how far you had to reach for it.
I got us there, man.
You
Got
got
us
it.
there.
Um, when you look at, but I guess you can say, relative to communicating and understanding each other. Um, One of the fun things, just in relationships, I love to people watch. Period. But and watching TV. My wife is partial to a few of the TLC shows, and so I have started watching them with her, and I am amused in a very like, God damn, this is where we've come kind of way. But one thing that I've gleaned from watching them is if people if men and women learned, and I will say, like, I mean, as men sitting here, we both need to figure it out too. It's not like I can easily say it from the outside in. It doesn't mean I'm gonna practice it either. But is the fact that men and women are different. Like, as
Yes,
much as we try to,
we are
want
different.
be to be treated the same, and a woman can do anything a man can do, and whatever. Like, that's not what I'm saying. It is we are different. Relationships are different. Friendships are different.
Communication is different.
Everything is different, right? And if we understood that we communicate differently and accepted that, I think it would just make things so much easier. And an example, and so as a dude, I'd be like, hey, babe, my cousin got, Neil got a new job today. Oh, word, okay, yeah. Where? I don't know. What's he doing? I don't know. When's he start? I don't know. Where's it gonna be? I don't know. Like, did he have to choose between anything? No, I don't know. Like, I didn't. Why does it have to be? Like, why does it have to be a whole thing?
I
Like,
just
I
wanted to
was
pass some
right.
information
I was
on.
just bam. I was just giving you the assist. Like that. Just shoot it. Like,
She
don't.
grabs it. Hey, so what do I do with the ball
Right.
now? Do I shoot it into
Shoot
the
it.
basket? Do I dribble?
Right. It's like, and those are. It doesn't mean like I don't care. It doesn't mean you care more. It just means like I am. We are getting the information, and we just have different things that we are trying to get out of it. And in relationships, like we are different.
Yeah, we are different.
Different. I have a 5-year-old, and so like, LJ, why'd you do whatever? Do something, and it'll be something stupid, and it's like, something a 5-year-old would do, and it's like he's like, I don't know, and I'll look at him and be like, he doesn't know, like, but that's not just a kid thing. That's not a little boy thing. Like, there's not necessarily a deeper meaning behind anything.
It's just
When that
five.
guy cheated, like sometimes that the answer is like it was just there. It's not like an emotional, it's not like indicative of anything else. It's just from in general. And there are always exceptions to rules. So please don't, dudes like, well, I'm not that way. No, baby, I'm not like that. It's like, no, I don't mean it like that. I just mean, like, generally speaking, it's not that deep. Most things are not that deep.
No,
Well, there's not the emotional connection to whatever. There's not
except if
the
you're a woman.
what?
If a woman, I think, were to be the one that cheats,
Oh, okay. Yes. I thought you were saying, like, because
I
I said
think it
men
would
and you're
be,
like, unless I was like, what? Are we about
yeah.
to get into that?
No, 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 no,
I
man,
was like,
no,
come on, man.
no, bro, no,
I'm
no,
gonna
no,
bust you in your head.
no. I mean, I'm talking about. There's gonna be some comments. I'm talking about if a woman were to go off and do that,
Hmm.
that it would there would be more of an
Right.
emotional
Right.
balance and
And
an
that's the
emotional connect.
difference.
For a guy, chances are, nah,
Right.
it's
That's the
just gonna be a
difference.
physical thing.
I know friends, when you're younger and especially in college, people, you'll have these conversations and go be like, oh, why did he do this? So blah, blah, blah. And it's like,
The
you know what?
opportunity was there.
Right. And it's like, that's all it was. Like,
Hmm.
it doesn't mean that, he likes her anymore, likes you any less.
Right.
Like, it was just a thing. And
Hmm.
most things, like, think of like, there are very few things, like, as a dude, like, I think things just kind of pass through you. Not everything has a right. One of the things I'll say sometimes is like, why does something have to be a conversation? And it's not like a shot. It's just like, it's not, my brain isn't really thinking of all these other things
Hmm.
to have to answer the follow-up. And I think that's like my daughter, she and I have a good relationship. But I think one of the things is, I just kind of let her, she is more introverted anyway. So I just let her kind of come to me with information.
Hmm.
And she'll randomly, I'll be doing something in the most random, inopportune time. She'll want to tell me a
Talk
story
about
about school, and I got to be ready. And sometimes I'm looking at her like, you see what I'm doing?
it.
I'm trying to put your brother to sleep right now. And you're going to tell him, but, I want to hear
But
it.
you
She's going to
take it.
hear it.
That's right. That's
and
right.
and I understand that with her, but like, why can't we do that with our partners?
Hmm.
Because I don't do it with my I don't do that with, I mean, sometimes I try, but I don't.
Oh, but when it's a subject that needs to be, I don't know. It's funny because women I've dealt with, one of the things I've always had to deal with is that I'm an actor, so I remember
Mm,
stuff. My biggest feat that I had to do was I memorized 48 pages in 3 weeks when I did Thurgood Marshall, the one man show in Minnesota. And so I remember some women say, "I want a man that you want you listen to me and I listen and I'll bring it back up and it'll piss you off because you're bringing it back. I'm throwing it back at you at a situation that you're doing, but I don't know, man. I just
yeah,
getting back to that subject of a man cheating, and if you do really want to communicate and if you do really want to know, well, why, why, are you going to appreciate the answer that comes out of his
yeah,
mouth? Are you really going to appreciate the answer that comes out of his mouth? Because 98% of the time that why may fall back on
yeah.
you,
And it's gonna hurt,
and it's
and it's
gonna
gonna hurt,
hurt, and
and
you're gonna
yeah,
wish he never said it.
right. And we can't, as men, we don't feel. So I will say, we don't feel we
We
can.
feel.
No, 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 no. Like, no, we don't feel like we are gonna, like, we're allowed to actually let that out.
Right.
Like, we,
If
when you ask us, we know that if we tell you, like, there's gonna be an impact. There's gonna be some sort of consequence. And although you may tell us, like, hey, I want to know, whatever,
just tell
like,
me.
there's a
Just
consequence to
tell.
that. Like,
Hmm.
when I tell you, this thing that I know is going to hurt, that I don't like or whatever, and I know it's going to hurt you, and then you respond emotionally. Now don't want to keep going. And so it's either you're gonna have like one of a few reactions. It's gonna be either you're just gonna shut down. You guys do it. It's like, okay, like, I did it, I tried, and here you are crying.
Hmm.
I've caused you pain. It could be anger, where you're just like, you just asked me for
You just
this, and I
yes,
did it, and now it
and
becomes a
now
fight
it.
because he's angry that
Yep.
you just brought us here and we didn't
Hmm.
have to be there.
Hmm.
Like there's the emotional part where you're like, now she's crying, you're crying, and like you're because you're upset that you hurt her. Like there are
Yep.
all these different
All of
reactions,
these, yeah.
but all of them are negative. Like none of them are conducive to you wanting to communicate more now.
Hmm.
Whereas as a dude, I don't feel like you can, like the reverse is true. Like you tell me something that bothers me, I gotta eat it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because if I do start crying or respond to it the same way, then I'm
Now
a
you a
bitch.
punk. You a
Right.
bitch. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
like,
That's heavy right there.
and so there's that. So we just have to take that.
Hmm.
Because it's not. And I
And
understand it
then we
might
get
not be
introverted about it, and then we
right,
get closed off because we're not going to share that with our
right,
boys, you know. So
right.
that gets us back in that place of just solace.
There is that, that it's as much as relationships, as much as there are certainly a lot of cases, where men mistreat women and whatever.
Of course.
And there's an equality, whatever. But like as a guy, I think people assume that the benefits like in a relationship are more, or they weigh more heavily on a guy side. And I feel like it's actually, if you are a decent dude,
Hmm.
we'll say. So the majority of men may not be decent dudes, but I think if you are a decent dude or a decent partner, then how it's not really conducive. You have to acquiesce to her more than she has to acquiesce to you.
True.
And that's what makes you a good, because she stands up for herself. She's being a strong woman. She's independent. And why does she have to yield to you? You stand up and bring that same energy. You are overly aggressive,
Now you're,
or
yeah,
and there's
hyper masculine,
right.
whatever. Yeah.
And it's just running that balance. Like,
Hmm.
and so more often than not, as a dude, you're just like, you know what? Like, I'm just gonna
If you're
swallow
a
this and do what I
wise
tell you.
brother,
Yes.
if you're a wise dude, and when I say brother, it could be my white brothers out
Right.
there, my
I
Asian
yes, I
brothers out
understand what
there,
you meant.
my Spanish brothers out there. That's that Dr. West for my
Mm.
brothers.
That's
But yeah, I mean, yeah, if you're wise, man, you can see that and you head those things off. It's not who you're a man lying and who you're not. It's like, no, I'm trying to, prevent something before it even begins.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's tough.
Yes, it is.
Being a husband, father, like boyfriend, even is not. Being a boyfriend is much easier than the other two,
Mhm.
but it's not easy because
Especially trying to be a good one, man.
yeah,
You're trying to be the best. As we get older, you hopefully leave certain things behind.
yeah.
You trying to elevate and grow, even in your later years, man. And you want to be the best that you can be. It's a hard road.
Do you find yourself outgrowing friendships?
Wow. Yes, that's interesting. That's a great question. We have to come back to that.
Yeah,
We have to
there's
come back
because
to that.
like we go in different places, especially when you move away.
Yes.
Like when maybe both of you moved away or
Mhm,
one of you moved away, I think it's more likely
mhm.
going to be whether like you just outgrow
Yeah.
because you've experienced different things and you're not necessarily on the same page anymore. And so you're
Wow.
still friends.
Of
Like I
course.
think
Yeah.
being like male friends is
Yeah.
much easier. There's
Yeah.
much less that goes with it.
Yeah.
But like you're still cool, but you're
Mhm.
not friends like you were because you outgrown.
Wow. Wow.
It sounds incredibly like
It's not.
vain, like
n-
saying it out loud, but
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
I don't mean it like,
I know you
hey,
don't.
I don't mean it like
I
they're
know
less
you
than me.
don't.
You're just different.
No. I
You're just two
and
different
I've
people.
got the perfect. Like I am an example of this, man. My whole theater world. I did some theater here in Rhode Island before I left, like two
Hmm.
shows, two small shows. But my entire theater background in life came and flourished in Atlanta,
Hmm.
and my knowledge grew of different writers and techniques and everything else, and now I come back and I don't really have many people to talk about that
Hmm.
with, man. And it's not that I guess it's the
Yeah.
outgrown, but it's like I have experiences that I can't share with y'all because you all don't understand them. And again, it's not that we're not friends, but it's like there's a whole part of my life, a
Hmm.
huge part of my life that I can't expect you guys to understand.
Right.
And that's rough.
Yeah. I was having a talk with my daughter. Not this very same one, but I was driving her home from school, and just randomly we were talking about friendships,
Mhm.
whatever. And I told her, I said, your friendships from college will probably stick more. Although, like, you're coming up in a different information or a different communication era
Mm,
than I did. My high school, I didn't have email in high school, whereas I did in college. And it was just that transit, that time period of the switch
mhm,
was flicked on technology. But like more, but regardless of that, like, you're gonna have more in common with these people because you've lived with these people for 4 years or whatever, and you've been away from this group of people or whatever it is. But like, your relationships, because you're gonna have more in common, I
mhm.
guess, with these people. And so it's just that change.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
it's tough. And I'm sure everybody, like, I don't know that that's a black problem. I think that's,
I don't know. I don't think that is.
yeah, it's not. It's just a,
I think that
yeah,
crosses everybody. Um, I think we have to do something coming up on an upcoming show about so much more that connects us than
yeah,
divides us. And that's this is a beautiful example of just, wow, yeah, we got to come back to outgrowing friendships.
yeah.
Yeah, especially when you move away, man. You take in different information,
Hmm.
different cultures, different lifestyles.
Yeah.
Um, and it's been a blessing to be in different areas that I've lived in, and because of this training, because of what started us to do this podcast,
Hmm.
um, it's helped me navigate through the areas and places I lived. At one point, man, I lived in Marietta, Georgia, and it was voted the number one racist place to live in the country.
Wow.
And I was married living there. And I would drink at an all Republican bar. It's called Nick's Place, Nik apostrophe S place. Big up to Nick's Place, a Greek restaurant. But there would be Republicans
Wait
there,
for
man.
Nico, I'm
Yeah.
sure.
And there were Republicans there, and I would just sit on my little end of the bar and I'd smoke my beaties and I'd do some writing. And I could hear them watching Fox News. So you could see through the bar and they're sitting on the other side. And the bathroom was over here. So they would come and walk to go to the bathroom and be like, how you doing? How you doing? And then it got to be, hey, how you doing, Neil? And
Mm.
it's like, hey, what's up, guy? How you doing, Tim? And I would smoke my beaties, and I could hear them asking the bartender, "Is he smoking?"
Yep.
This was before it was legal, and
Yep.
and they're like, "No, he's just smoking beady cigarettes." But surely these guys got to know me a little bit, and I tell you, like 3 or 4 of them helped fund my short play festival that I put on down there
Mm.
in Atlanta.
That's dope.
And yeah, man. And so it's like, wow, I didn't look at this like I'm in a white place. I've got to get out of here. I've got to be and like, no,
Yeah.
I'm gonna sit here. I'm gonna solidify who I am. They're not bothering me. I'm not bothering them.
Right.
And just over time, we get to know each other. We break down. They're sitting there watching Fox News, so of course, they have their
Oh God.
generalized opinions
Yeah.
of what's going on. I never hear the N word, so that's comforting.
Eh,
And so, but
especially down there.
especially, yeah, again, number one racist place to live at that time. But then we get to know each other. We get to know each other. We break down those walls. And it's not any grand scheme. It's not they're taking me out to eat or
Hmm.
I'm bringing them something. No, it's just the simplicity of, hey, how you doing? How you doing? Over a
Yeah.
period of time. Hey, now you get to know my name. Hey, what are you writing? What do you do? Oh, wow, you're an actor? Man, you're a writer? Yeah, these are the things I do.
Yeah. Yeah. That's
So,
how our relationships are, like friendships with dudes are anyway. You're in the same place 3 times, like you're friends.
yeah.
Like, hey, that's just what it is.
Yeah, man.
So what you got going on this week?
Moment by moment, brother. I don't have any plans as of right now.
No,
Everything with me for the moment is just moment by moment.
I'm
What
going
you got
to.
going?
I'm excited. I'm looking forward to going. No, I'll say excited to. My BC Eagles, Boston College Eagles are doing good. Um, Bill O'Brien, he's just performing some magic over there right
Okay,
now. So
okay.
the buzz is back at Boston College.
You going to a game?
Going to the game. It's a Saturday night game, which is dope. Um, College night games are so much fun.
Really?
So much fun. Now, don't get me wrong. Now that I'm an adult versus a college kid, like, the college kids are gonna be annoying because they're gonna be hammered.
Okay.
Be you're talking Saturday night, so
Okay.
they're gonna start drinking like
12.
or yeah,
If I'm going back to my
right,
days,
right.
about
They started
noon.
drinking, took a nap,
Yep.
at home,
Yeah,
changed
yep.
clothes,
Hit the
and you know,
dining hall.
yes.
Yeah.
And so they're gonna be falling all over each other, but it's also fun to watch. Like, I'm not gonna lie, drunk white kids is hilarious to watch. It is hilarious.
Yeah.
And especially like, clothes like dude, like I'm sure there's gonna be clothes coming off, dude shirtless, painting themselves all over the place, especially BC wins. Like they're gonna be going crazy. It's a fun environment.
That's
So
something I want to know about our white brothers out there. You all, and this is just this is a blanket stereotype. You all drink to set out to get to that point.
mm,
We're getting effed
yes.
up tonight.
Yeah.
We usually don't do
No,
that.
it's an accident.
It's an accident.
Like
Don't get me wrong. We get there.
yep,
We can get there, but not everybody does. It's
yeah,
not a plan.
yeah. It's a
It's a
cultural
plan.
adjustment.
It's a plan with them.
It was a that was a cultural adjustment when I went to school. And then the other one was hell, as black dudes, we go out to meet women.
Yeah.
Everything when we are getting ready to go to a club or a party or whatever, generally the objective is
Wow.
to
Meet
meet a
women.
young lady.
Yeah.
Or whatever it is that you like, but you generally your objective is to meet somebody.
Sure.
And for the most part, it wasn't even a like same night kind of thing. It was a like to meet somebody so you can talk to them later.
Sure.
The concept of like one night stands was introduced in college. Like that is not a hood mentality at all.
Nah.
Um,
Nah.
but whereas like my roommates and friends, they would go out and their objective was to drink. Like I am going out to
Get
drink.
wicked hammered.
Like I'm gonna have fun and I'm gonna drink. And me drinking is the fun,
Yes.
which I envy because like going to clubs for me for black, it's not as fun. It's a mission. Like it's fun, but the fun is secondary. If I go out and I
That's how
have a
I
good
feel
time,
about them drinking
right?
like that. The
No,
fun is secondary. They're getting hammered. Now, if fun comes from being hammered, that's cool. But if throwing up in a puddle or being wrapped around the toilet comes
that's
from
still
being
fun for
hammered,
them.
that's cool too.
Yeah,
That's
that's
what
still
I'm
part of the
saying.
fun. But that's all part of the fun. And it's like, and like,
That's
there's
interesting
that,
to me, man.
there's that sense of not like, no, I don't care. Like, I'm not worried about. And they'll meet a chick and hook up and whatever the same night, and it happens. Like, oh my god, funny story. So,
Is that part of privilege?
no, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I think
To
that's
have the luxury to be able to do that,
the ability to be able to get
to
that
get
drunk and
as
not have to worry.
hammered and
Yes, that
not
is privilege.
worry and not.
Yeah, no, that is certainly a privilege. But
Yeah.
so when I was a freshman and I had a four-person room, and so there was a physical half wall that divided.
Hmm.
One kid moved out, so it ended up three of us. I had the side by myself. Like I didn't bully them. We did a coin flip and I won. So I had the side by myself, but that was also the side where the door was.
Okay.
So one night, that's like I don't know, 2, 3 in the morning. The door opens. One of my roommates is coming in. He comes in and he's like, Leon, listen, like, please, they're gonna leave the door open. Be cool. I'm gonna hook up. And I was like, okay, like, because they left it. He was leaving the door open,
Hmm.
and so I'm like, okay, I just figured somebody was coming by, right? And so I hear footsteps coming down the hall, and all of a sudden, this girl comes flying in the room, right? She got pushed in, like not like forced and dragged in, like, but like they were walking down the hall and somebody just like bumped her
Okay.
into, and she just came
She
flying in the
just came
room.
flying through the room.
And yeah, so she comes in and she looks around and then she sees him. I won't say his name. And she's like, hey. And he's like, hey, what's up? She was like, oh, I didn't know you lived in here, blah, blah, blah. Right. So they chat. She closes the door behind her. They sit there and start chatting. And I remember the conversation goes, they're both just sitting there. He's like, hey, hey. She's like, why do I feel like this was set up? And he's like, because it was. And then you just hear And I was like, yo,
Oh
that
my
was the
god.
cheesiest. Like, I'm on my side dying laughing. I was like, because it was like everybody paying for you two to hook up, but you, shorty.
Oh my
Like, but
gosh.
that's yeah, and that some of that, like the ability to just go out and not have to worry, because we
Yeah.
can't go out like that.
No.
Like we can, but there's a risk
The
that comes with it.
huge risk.
Right, there's a risk,
Not a
and
mild, not a low, huge
right.
risk.
And some might say that it's like looking outside in. I would be like, oh well, that's just self-inflicted. Like nobody's really out to get you. But what? But it's like our experiences tell us
Hmm.
that we cannot. That yes, there is a chance that we could get home and everything be fine, whatever. But the likelihood is that we will not.
No.
That it won't end well.
Mm-mm.
We'll be in the wrong place, wrong time,
Hmm.
part of the wrong story, whatever it is. But
Hmm.
we'll be on the wrong side of that.
Yeah.
So or whatever. So yes, but moral of the story is I'm going to the BC game. I'm excited. I'm actually going with a classmate of mine. My brother's coaching. So I'm
That's
sure I'll see
awesome,
some of
man.
my other classmates. So anytime I go back, there's somebody else. There's
Yeah.
some other people that I went to school with who happen to be back at the same time. So especially with them playing well and it being a Saturday night game.
Hmm.
So I was gonna bring my son with me, but it's a night game, so I won't. So that's really my
You might have to
weekend.
bring your cousin with you.
Yeah, huh?
You might have to bring your cousin with
I don't have an extra ticket.
you. Okay.
Otherwise, I would.
You might have
Um,
to talk to a coach.
I there's some other people coming too. So I
I
know
got you.
he
Next time. Next
pops is
time.
coming,
Next
wife is
time.
coming. So we chilling.
Yeah. That's
So I'll be
awesome.
off doing my own thing more than
That's
likely.
awesome.
I'll see them, but that's it. So
I'm
yeah,
new in town, man. I'm back. I'm new in town
Eh,
again. So I'll have the
yeah.
opportunity
Honestly, I think that's the
in the
other thing. People got to
future.
remember that you're back here.
Yeah. And you know what? I haven't been very verbal about it. I haven't been making any efforts. I've just been doing what I've had to do.
Yeah,
And you know that. Yeah. So I just keep it very low key to the people that really know I'm back. I haven't done any grand gesture.
no doubt.
Yeah.
Um, all right. So is there anything you would like to end with? Anything, your final words.
I think that was a great show.
Mm.
Um, keep tuning in, like, share, subscribe.
There you go.
NRW, we're here navigating these racial waters.
Yes,
Tune
sir.
in.
Might have a new name coming up. We'll see. As we grow and realize that,
But we're still in the same vein of what
right,
we're what
it's
we're
just
what we're talking
more
about.
to be more inclusive, to
Yes,
not
yes.
necessarily feel like there might be people who avoid it
Right,
because of the name.
right.
So,
Heavy name, easy talk.
yeah. So my final thoughts and something that we can potentially be working on. I've mentioned before about the town administrator in the town of Fairhaven, Massachusetts.
Mhm.
And we might do something, a live show or something to just talk about what she is going through, and just the experience from a woman of color in a 97, 98% white town, who holds the top position, the top paid position, non-elected position, um, and just kind of doing a good job. Like she's getting blamed for stuff that has nothing to do with her, and then like although the town administrator is supposed to be a non-political position, politics is kind of playing into how she's being treated. And I don't think one, the board recognizes that she is their employee. And so they can't act like regular citizens and do the things that they are doing. Like
Mhm.
she is their employee. And so they have an obligation to protect her as well. And have created an environment for her to be successful. And they decided not to renew her contract despite her getting like great evaluations, which doesn't really add up.
Hmm.
And I don't have a problem. Like if you don't want somebody, that's fine. That's not my issue. My issue is more, the treatment and the process, and um it just not like, and the fact that the town of Fairhaven is next to the town of New Bedford, which is a more diverse city and has one of the largest Cape Verdean populations outside of the island of Cape Verde. And she is a Cape Verdean woman. So for the town next to that population to feel so comfortable treating someone like that,
Right.
treating a Cape Verdean that way. What does that mean
Mhm.
to New Bedford? What does that mean, to people who have to drive through there? That opens a window or opens the door to more, other racism. They said she hired a police chief, and there was a whole debate about it because there are certain last names that generally get the top position in
Okay.
town, and she hired somebody who didn't have one of those last names. And the who, but he is a white guy, and people said that she gave him the job because his wife is a person of color. And it's like, so you're reaching that far. Like I didn't even know he was married, let alone that his wife was a woman of color. But they're like, yep, she gave it to him because his wife is a person of color. How that affects the diversity in your heart, I don't know.
My first
But
question: does she even know the wife?
I don't think so.
Probably
Probably
not.
not. Like none of us really knew the wife until he got hired, and
Right.
she came to
But
his
because
swearing
she
in.
looks like her,
Mhm.
I'm gonna give the job to the husband.
Right. Well, it's such a reach. Like I could have at least understood the argument, and then it'd be like, well, it's been done against us since the beginning of time. Like, why does it matter? Like, it worked against you for once. But that's not even the case. His wife,
His
and this is
wife.
one of the things that she's being attacked for. And it's just like when I was on the board, I stood up for her a lot. And people were supportive, and I had the other board members who were like, they would recognize that our experiences could be different,
Hmm.
whatever. And they were more. But I think without me being that buffer, that person who is speaking out against it,
Running all
that
over.
falling on them now, it was like, oh, maybe this is a little bit heavier than I thought. And I'm
Hmm.
not willing to I am not willing to, when it's a choosing, and I've said this before about people who kind of pretend to be liberal, says when you're choosing between my views or my friends, when those views don't impact you directly, they're going to choose their friend.
Right.
And that is at least my belief, and that has been my experience. And I think the way that eventually will tear racism down is when you realize that those two things have to go together. And if you're not your friend because of your view or because you made a decision, then they're not your friend.
Then they're not your friend. Sure.
And I would rather not have them as a friend
Hmm.
than anything else, which I basically lost like 90. I didn't have a bunch of friends in town anyway, but I would say I lost 98, 99% of my friends in town because I really started to come out against the racist treatment that she went through. And them, despite claiming to be super liberal, like, and some of them, like, claim you would talk to them or whatever and think they were diehard. Um, Once that happened and their friends started to, or be people who were doing things against her, it's like they would rather believe that I was the problem versus believing that their friend might not necessarily be who they thought they were.
Wow.
And that was a wild experience and a wild lesson to go through.
You lost
Um,
all of those people
I
as
lost.
friends just defending
Yeah,
and pointing out.
yeah. Because one of the biggest people that was kind of doing it to her was someone that a lot of them really looked up to. Despite not necessarily, it's funny, despite not being like politically, a lot of information, your registration information is public. And so, like, despite them not being registered, a registered Democrat, like they are like the face of liberalism,
Hmm.
or progression.
Hmm.
And these people would rather believe that their friend is the progressive or liberal that they think he is or she is, versus just believing that maybe my experiences as a person of color are different
Sure.
with them. And so I am the problem, not them.
Well, it's easy to make you the problem.
Right. I'm like, hey, like you can still, like, you can be like, hey, he's nice to me.
Right.
Like I'm friends with them.
Hmm.
They're so cool. Like, they're like, again, two things can be true.
Yeah.
But people aren't, when they have to make that decision between views or friends. The
Those
views are
views.
getting
Those
lost.
views.
Those views
Yeah.
become secondary.
Yeah.
So it's a whole nother, but that's probably another show or
Another
another
show. Yeah. Yeah.
several shows or whatever. Otherwise, and thank you. Hopefully, we're getting better at this. Um, Not saying that we're bad, just saying. Hopefully, every episode gets better. That's growth.
There you go.
That's growth. That's how I
We're
mean it.
looking to experience growth.
That's yeah. Just want to every show.
Hopefully,
If you
we didn't suck.
if you watch any podcast or any even show, like they're better as they're supposed to get better as you go
Absolutely,
along.
absolutely.
But that's all I
If we don't get better as we go
mean.
along, then
Yes.
something's wrong.
Brothers, if nobody told you today, love you.
Love you. Keep your heads
Um,
up, sisters.
and
We
say,
love you as well.
yep, I will fight. I
Don't
I
let them old
just
Sunday night talk shows
uh,
and quiet storm shows.
when we were talking about the town administrator, I was telling my daughter, and on the story, but we were talking about just injustice and social injustice, and she said, yeah, that's my daddy. That's why they have you. And I was just like, oh, my babies, that made me smile. But I love my babies. All right, thank you very much. We will see you in a
Like,
couple
share,
weeks or so.
subscribe.
Like, share, subscribe, please, please, please. If you like it, tell a friend to tell a friend to tell a friend.
NIW.
Everybody who comes across it, for the most part, has enjoyed it. So it's like, okay, then tell somebody,
Then tell
share,
somebody, then
talk
tell
about it,
somebody
love it,
else.
whatever.
Appreciate y'all.
This week's T-shirt, no political messages, just just who we are, just who we are. We are kings. We are God's people. All right, love y'all.